Welcome back. I am your host. I am attorney Stephen Leahy, and this is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560, The Answer. I'm here with the gang, Deborah Schreiner, Jim Leahy, and we are here to inform and entertain. We're going to have fun. That's what we like to do on this show. We like to have fun. It's hard to have fun when you talk about bad things that happen. Unfortunately, in this world, bad things happen. And I have an opinion.
Last week we talked about nuclear war. This week we talk.
Well, bad things happen in the world, and that's a bad thing. But we don't always have to talk about bad things. In this segment, we're going to talk about good things.
It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
Yes, we are talking about good things. Is that you, Jim?
I'm trying to figure out the percentage. Continue to do your
percentage of
KKK members like I said I would.
Okay, I get it. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today is, again, we always talk about something that's happened in my office. And it's two big things happened in my office this week that I wanted to let you know about. And it's really about appeals. And what I mean by that is when you appeal a decision that was made by the IRS with somebody in the IRS, whether it's an audit, whether it's a revenue officer, whatever it is. And what happens is, and this is what people don't understand, I always liken it to insurance people. It's like an offer and compromise too, I always tell people. Almost always, no matter what you ask the IRS to do, if they've made a decision, they are going to come after, they're going to stick by their decision. And I always liken it to insurance people. There are some insurance companies out there that no matter what you claim, if something happens and you make a claim against the insurance, they deny every claim. Every one. Right or wrong, they're going to deny it.
Deny.
Exactly. Why? Because so many people, a certain percentage of people will just accept it and go about their way. Say, well, I guess that's the way it is. I'm not covered by that. And they eat the cost. And the insurance company doesn't pay. And they make money that way. So it's the same thing with the IRS. You make an offer and compromise. You want to pay less than you owe the IRS. The IRS looks at it and says, nope, denied. And then you're stuck with, well, I guess I did something wrong and I don't really qualify. So what happened some years ago, I had a commercial out and I talked about 1099A and 1099Cs and big box outfits. Okay. And that was a client who came to see me. She went to a big box outfit and they did her tax return wrong. And we saw that it was, and she came actually to us to help her pay back what the IRS said she owed. And what we said was, wait a minute, you should know this money because your tax return was done improperly. And if we do your tax return properly, you don't owe the IRS any money. And it was pretty straightforward. She got a 1099-C. We showed that she was technically insolvent, which means I have more liabilities than assets. And it was in my mind, this was a pretty straightforward case. Well, not to the IRS, it wasn't. We went to
surprise.
Yeah, we had an auditor who disagreed with our assessment and said, "Oh no." We just said, okay, let's point it out to them. Okay, let's straighten this out. No, she owes that money. There's nothing you can do about it. She was not technically insolvent, and it was legally mumbo jumbo. Actually, the person that did it was not a lawyer, did not really understand what the law said. She just decided that nope, it doesn't fit. That was 2 years ago. Okay, we appealed it. We've been appealing it for the last 2 years. Today, this last couple of days, we got a decision in. I was right. We were right. She doesn't owe that money. And it was $100,000 or more. So it's not a little bit of money. I have another client. The IRS made a mistake and they hit them with a payroll tax penalty of over $40,000. To me, it's a fairly straightforward case. The IRS acknowledged that they made a mistake, that their system was offline, and they tried to upload the things, and they got a false acceptance that it was accepted, but it wasn't accepted. And so it's pretty clear to me that the IRS made this mistake. And we've been trying to get them to acknowledge this mistake for some time now. And then it was just this week they came back and said, no, we didn't make a mistake. Your client still owes the $40-some thousand. Now, we're going to appeal it. And we're going to win. I know we're going to win. At least I'm fairly certain we're going to win. You never really know what's going on with the IRS. But you know what? There's a couple of different ways to appeal it. First, we're going to go to appeals. They have an appeals section, and you go to the appeals section. If we don't like what they do, we could take it to the tax court. And we'll go to tax court, and we'll show them why we're right. Now, a lot of times, and we don't do a lot of tax court stuff, but when we're right. And I'm going to go to tax court and we're going to fight it. So this happened to another client of mine where we went through an audit, and the auditor agreed, and they said they owed something like 20-some. They did actually a couple of years. 1 year they said they owed like $20-some thousand. We got it down to $5,000, and they agreed. Well, a week later, for some reason, the auditor decided he wanted to go back to the $20,000, and so he just assessed $20,000. And we couldn't get him to budge. We said, well, wait a minute. We had an agreement. You said it was $5,000, and now you're back up to $20,000. How does that work? Oh, no, that's what it is. So I filed a tax court case, and we go to tax court. Now, a lot of times, if it's under $50,000, what they'll do is they won't go to an attorney. They'll send it to an appeals officer, a different appeals officer. And we went to this appeals officer. And again, this stuff seems pretty simple. We had an agreement. We had it in writing. We went through this whole audit thing to get it down to what we all agreed to, and then they unilaterally changed their opinion, their work, and my clients left with the short stick, right? And so we appealed. I figured it was going to be pretty straightforward, and in the end, it was fairly straightforward. We did it over the phone because I didn't go to court because it was pretty straightforward. But you know, is a taxpayer going to do this by themselves? No, they don't even know this stuff is available.
This is what's great about having somebody, you know, and I know that's what this whole discussion is about, but you're opening people's eyes to how much better it is to have somebody be on your side. Why handle this yourself? This nightmare,
Bureaucrats are bureaucrats. They're used to getting their way. They think they have all the authority in the world. And many times they do, right? If they tell you that you're wrong and then you agree with them, they've won. They were right because now you're wrong, whether you were or not. Right. So that's why you have to go through this appeals process. And the law is what the law is. And a lot of these people at the IRS, they don't know what the law is. Mm-hmm. That's not their job. Their job is to try to collect as much money from you as they can. And I think a lot of times when you go through an audit, and I've seen it, where they go through an audit, they just deny every one of your expenses. Every one of them. All denied. And that makes a huge difference. Now I got to pay taxes on expenses that are lawfully I can take. I'm not supposed to pay taxes on those. Actually, it's very hard to stay in business if I have to pay taxes on my expenses. I can't stay 100%. In business.
I know.
So how is that going to work? So again, that's where it comes into these appeals. And I've got a number of these stories, and unfortunately I'm not going to be able to get to more but there's so many of them. Almost always I want to take it out of the revenue officer's hand and put it into an appeals officer's hands, because appeals officers they understand the law better, and they're more disengaged, I'd say, because some of these revenue officers, they get so worked up and they get an opinion about the taxpayer, and they just want to slam them.
And once you put power into their kind of hands, you know, and they
then,
get worked
that's up. That's right. And then you work a motion in with the power, and they have the power.
A gross misuse.
And you think that you can argue with them? You ain't arguing with them.
And they're starting to come after you now in different ways, aren't they? These IRS revenue officers, these agents, they're coming at you differently. Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's the most important part about open tax resolution. They're going to be there for you. If you need somebody to represent you, if you have any question regarding your tax situation, if you just are looking for good cookies, But no. If you really need help, or if you know somebody needs help, call OPM Tax Resolution 312-664-6649 or visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. That's going to be your hub to help fight the IRS. Look at the blog, previous blog reports, previous videos. It's a great little tool to help get you back on track for financial success. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with that information, go to that website, ChicagoTaxTeam.com. Trust me, you're going to love it. But stay tuned, because after the commercial break, more IRS Radio Hour is coming your way here on AM 560, The Answer.